But I do remember the next one you're going to bring up. Like I said, like it was fucking yesterday.
I know. Let's just jump ahead. So this was, see, it's funny. So you thought it was 1990 and it was 19 it was 1991 according to the internet. Um
I did, but you know why I have 1990 in my head is because 1990 is when Seasons in the Abyss came out. Because they did a tour on the East Coast that was called A Week in the Abyss, and it was in the summer of 1990. And I fucking saw them at the Chance of all places. And it was fucking awesome.
the Chance really in Poughkeepsie.
Yes, sir.
Wow. That's a small
And
that's
that
a
was
small
that
venue.
was summer 1990, but you're right. It was fall 1991, them in Testament.
We talked about this a little bit over email. This was the Touring in the Abyss cycle for as the Seasons in the Abyss album.
Yeah, Seasons in the Abyss tour for Slayer, Souls of Black tour for Testament. Um at that point, I was the Slayer and Anthrax ruled my world. That's pretty much been my entire career. Without Charlie Benante and Dave Lombardo, I wouldn't be the drummer I am. And I'm lucky to call both of those guys my very good friends. So this just happened to be the first time that I met Dave because I had happened to be in touch with the Slayer fan club, and I knew a girl at their record label, this girl Susan Ferris, who worked for Rick Rubin, and not Rick Rubin, for Rick Sales, their manager. And she this was really like before the days of street teams and stuff. Like, I mean, now that I'm talking about it, I'm going, this is kind of like a street team thing. So I was in touch with the Slayer fan club, so they asked me if I would be interested in doing some promotions for the show. What does that mean? Going around and flyering for the show? Sure. What do I get in return? Free tickets and backstage passes. Fucking count me in. So I I don't remember what happened, but there was some sort of snafu with the posters, and they fucked it up and they couldn't get them up here in time. And Susan calls me up and she goes, "Well, I got good news and bad news." I'm like, what's the good news?" She goes, "Well, the good news is your tickets and passes are all set for, Friday night or whatever the hell night of the week it was." I'm like, "All right, awesome." The bad news is the posters aren't showing up, so you're not going to have to do that. I'm like, that's like good news and good news, isn't it? So it turned out I didn't have to do it, but then I did go do it for them in New York City for Clash of the Titans. But the trade-off there was we got to go to Clash of the Titans at Madison Square Garden, which was a whole other, that was just, that was an amazing night for so many other reasons, but we were diverting. So I have tickets and passes to go to the show already. But ironically, the day before at Saratoga Winners was a battle of the bands that my band at the time, Suspended Animation, was taking part of. It was us and five other bands. I'm I'm only gonna talk about the bands that I remember because I don't remember everybody. But I do know it was us, and it was Monolith because I know because they made the video that I have still as a commemorative of this evening from 30 some odd years ago. And Mike Valenti's band Attica. And two other bands played, and I don't remember who the fuck it was, but it doesn't really matter because, and Mike will disagree with me, but Attica was rigged to win the battle of bands from the get-go, even though my band should have won.
It created a lot of rivalry between a couple of the bands, Jason Bittner and myself included.
What do you remember about that night? What do you remember, or even about the lead up? How did that opportunity come up to open for Slayer, and that it was the local opener would be a winner of a Battle of the Bands?
I'm not sure exactly how it came about, but I'm sure that Saratoga Winners they were pretty much one of the top dogs in the area for national acts and for music. So I'm sure that they had a line in with the promoter doing the Slayer show. And it was Slayer and Testament at RPI Fieldhouse. And I believe Creator was supposed to open that and they dropped off for whatever reason. I may be wrong, but I remember hearing that as a rumor. So they decided to do a battle of the bands at Saratoga Winners. And I remember Stigmata played, Doomsday. I'm trying to think, you're testing my memory, and I'm lucky I can remember my own name, but I remember there was tickets involved to sell. And I remember we sold a shit ton of tickets for that. And hindsight is 2020 is like, who really made out on that was Saratoga Winners, because every band sold an assload amount of tickets and the place was sold out. It had to be 700 people to 1,000 maybe in that place from what I remember. And we ended up winning. A lot of people say, oh, it was fixed and all this stuff. If it was fixed, I really didn't know about it. I don't know. I when you say Battle of the Bands, first thing that goes into everybody's head is somebody. It's all predetermined, and if it was not on our end. I remember, Bittner always said, he goes, "Oh, that was rigged, that was fixed," and blah blah blah. And you know what? And at that point in Attica's career, it was the beginning of Attica's career professionally, and it was the first wave of our lineup, or actually second wave of our lineup, and Stigmata was way better than us. The bands were way better. There was a lot of bands that were better than us, but we did perform very well that night. We I don't know if it was crowd participation. I don't know what the basis of winning that was, to tell you the truth, but we won.
Now remember, I did not win the Battle of the Bands, but I am now backstage with the golden pass on my shirt. Now, I have a better pass than the guys who won the Battle of the Bands, who have their wristband that allows them to be on stage for their 20 minutes, and then it's, all right, get the fuck out to the seats where you belong, because you're not part of this tour. Why do bands do that? Because we don't need you back there, because you're in the fucking way, and this is our show. Get out of here. I know it from being at all levels of this. Bands don't kick you out because they want to be assholes. It's a show. It's a job. If you're standing somewhere that you don't know pyro's about to go off and blow off the left side of your arm, hey, there's a reason they tell you to get the hell off the stage.
And we showed up to play with Slayer, and we got treated like such shit through that whole day. Not by the bands, well, a little bit by the bands, but the crew, the people doing the show were not happy. So again, behind the scenes, I don't know what happened, but I just know that we did not get a welcoming, welcome guy. We didn't get that. We basically got told what to do, where to put our stuff, how we did it, and we were kids, and we didn't know. We should have brought a sound guy. We didn't, and they didn't care about us. We sounded like shit. We had no monitors. We couldn't hear. We had this much space to play on. Not to mention, I think we made about $13 in change that was thrown at us, by everybody in the crowd. And, it was like, and then I got Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman throwing cold cuts at us backstage.
You're kidding me.
And Bittner's laughing because he's friends with Dave Lombardo at the time, and he's laughing at us. And
so I am now wandering around backstage. I've got the golden ticket, and I'm watching my friends who won the Battle of the Bands load their gear in and wait as they're, because when you're in a band, hurry up and wait, because you're going to wait till Slayer was done, but Testament was still, their crew was still up there. there wasn't even, the back line wasn't even covered yet. There was no room for another band to go up there. So finally they let him up there, like, with like 5 minutes before doors. Gave him like,
They give it like 5 feet of space between the
they
monitor.
gave him like 5 feet of space. They gave him like, 2 minutes before doors. They put him on. They gave him one channel on the PA, Hi, where you can't even hear our name. So
whatever, it is what it is, and I don't regret it at all, because you know what, we got to do it. It was fun, and we did play in front of a couple thousand people. It was great. I mean, and you know what, when I see people that bring that up, 50% of them say it was so awesome, that 50% of the people like, oh, you guys got fucked, you guys sounded like shit. So I guess it's all perspective and how you perceive it, but I just remember it was I didn't care. I played and I was so happy. It was an accomplishment, and
didn't matter who won that battle. Anybody who walked on that stage for that 20 minutes would have got the same quarters thrown at him, and that means me. So that's why I joke all the time that I'm fucking glad that I didn't win the battle, because he may have won the battle, but I won the war. I won the war because this is the shit that I still bust his balls on. We talk about this all the time.
ever since then, I mean, Bittner and I we bust each other's balls over that still to this day, and we have fun with it. But
at the end of the night, me and my bass player still came off the bus fucking hammered, while Mike and his singer were still waiting in their truck, hopefully like this, hoping that they might get an autograph.
I remember hanging out afterwards, trying to, meet the band. Like, we met Dave Lombardo, nice guy. He actually hung out, talked with us. Tom Araya was really cool. He just wanted to smoke weed and just chill. Jeff Hanneman and Kerry were drinking. They were a little much, but being a guitarist, those are the dudes that I really wanted to talk to. And Jeff Hanneman was hammered, and he took my poster and he took a pen, and he just went like this. He just went on the for his autograph. He just went, "Here you go, kid." I was just like, "Fuck!" I still have the poster hanging up, And Kerry wouldn't sign it, and yeah, that was it. But like I said, years later, meeting, knowing one of my boys was their guitar tech and everything, I got my autographs eventually, and I got my selfies and my accolades, but
and I was going to ask you that, because like on your Facebook page, the top of your Facebook page is you and Kerry.
And that was on their last tour before they called it quits. And I said, Kerry, I said, shit, I've been backstage hanging out, recognizing each other. I mean, I never talked his ear off. He never talked my ear off. But I said, can I get a selfie with you? I mean, for real. It's like, he goes, sure.
I am within 5 minutes of being backstage, and I fucking turn the corner, and lo and behold, Dave Lombardo and his wife at the time are walking directly right at me. And I was just like, oh, Dave Lombardo. And I literally I totally just froze in my tracks, fanboyed out. Hey, man, how are you? Just stopped and talked to me like he had known me forever. And that pretty much started a 30-year friendship. So we were talking. He's like, hey, you want to go check out my drums? I'm like, sure. So now I'm adding insult to injury, because now my friends, they see me now. Now they see me on fucking Slayer's Drum Riser. Oh, that motherfucker Bittner. What the fuck? Why is he up there? Because I should have won the Battle of the Bands, and this is my prize. So these guys are basically getting shit on by Slayer the whole entire time. They get the 20 minutes on stage. Mike still says that he could have took a mortgage out of the house while it changed. He could have picked up with that he was getting pelted with for the 20 minutes they were on stage opening for Slayer, because no one wants to open for Slayer. It's not a good place to be. So that was the night I became friends with Dave. I have to be honest with you. I don't even know if I even watched Testament. I mean, I wanted to, but I don't know if I did, because I think I was just too busy, being a fly on the wall in the Slayer with Dave. I was just like, he's not telling me to leave yet. I'm going to just stay right here until he's like, all right, I'm going to change my stage clothes. Now you have to leave. So, okay, I got it. I'll wait right over here. So it's a blur on whether or not I even watched them. I'm pretty sure I did. I know that's the first night I met Alex, though. Because I remember, because I remember I was standing outside a Slayer dressing room and he came walking by. Another very old friend.
So that was the Souls of Black record. That was the one that
Souls of Black. Yeah.
that was
yeah.
after Practice What You Preach, right? It's
Yeah.
Practice What You Preach, and then I was reading an article, an interview with Eric Peterson talking about that era that they had recorded that album, and they had to do some touring. That I think you had mentioned the Clash of the Titans and the Slayer tour as well, and I think they were just eager that they had gotten a record out. That's probably like one of the least Testament records I'm probably like least familiar with. I think I don't know too many songs.
It's Dark Horse record. I think it's got a couple songs on it. I like the Ritual a lot better. The next one, Ritual was the last record with Louis Clemente playing drums, and then there was Low with John Tempesta, which is great too, and then The Gathering, which is that's
ultra heavy.
That's still. I know a lot of Testament fans are like, what? I'm like, but it's still like the go-to record for a lot of Testament fans, man. That's a fucking good one. Myself included. It's not just because I'm a Lombardo fan. I mean, that's a great record.
Before we started the call, we talked about how you spent the show. You made an immediate connection with Dave, and you didn't even watch the show from the crowd. You were back.
I was parked right behind him on the riser, and until the encore, and then I had to leave the riser for the encore because it was pyro and all the important things that I need to not be in the way of. But it was fucking great, and that started that night right there. Like I said, started a long tenured friendship between me and him. We went to see him maybe 2 weeks later at Mid-Hudson Civic Center. where ironically downstairs in the artist area where they put all the guests, which I was because I was friends with Dave, as I was sitting there eating something off the catering table waiting for Dave. I look up and I see Blitz and Dee Dee from Overkill on the opposite side of the room. I'm like, oh, my future bosses. Hey, can you autograph my pass, please? And then we went on Clash of the Titans. He gave me a laminate for that. So he's like, whatever show you can get to. So I went to 4 shows on that. And it was great.
What do you think just like gave you that instantaneous like connection? Was it drums, or I mean, if you guys just like met backstage randomly, you just struck up?
I think it was drums. I think there was something. I don't know. I mean, it'd be funny. I should ask Dave about this. Like, why? I mean, I do wonder that. Like, why were you so just fucking majorly cool to me? Where you could have just fucking been like, yeah, kid, whatever. See you later. I don't know. Maybe he knew that I wasn't a fucking clown. I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I can tell you from being a drummer. There's an innate feeling that we feel with others of our kin, and you can separate the guys who can throw down or know how, or who can back up what they say, as opposed to the guys that just have shit to say but can't back it up.
Set list for that night, it was obviously, again, this was the tour for Seasons in the Abyss, so they were opening with Raining Blood.
They opened with Raining Blood. It was Raining Blood into Black Magic. War Ensemble was the third song.
Yeah, and then they did, I think, a pretty...
why do I know that? Because I kept going, Jesus fucking Christ, you got to play War Ensemble third? Like, I get like an hour warm-up before I can get to that one. Like...
And it was a pretty, I mean, it's a pretty heavy set list on the seasons.
It's an intense set. It's very seasons heavy too. They
Yeah.
did all the songs. They did Born of Fire. They did fucking Spirits in Black. Everything is on there. There's only a couple songs that they don't play. They don't play Temptation and they don't play fuck. Expendable Youth got played.
Mm-hmm.
Skeletons they played. I think Temptation might be the only song that they didn't play.
Yeah, are there 9?
Oh, they didn't. What?
Are there 9 tracks on the record, or is there 10?
No, I was just gonna dig it up, but anyway.
But there's a ton of really good ones on. Obviously, closing with Angel of Death and South of Heaven. The hits, Die by the Sword. 17 songs. I mean, it's a pretty good set. And
Die by the Sword, Antichrist Medley, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. I have to go back and listen to it again. I've been listening to
you'll hear that if you just listen to it's the same thing that they do on
what
oh
is
my
it?
God,
Decade of Aggression?
the live album, Decade of Aggression, thank you. Yep. It's the off show from the Clash of the Titans one. It's the same thing they do, like little medley kind of thing, or it's in half of the song into the other.
I was reading somewhere someone I had heard one of the tracks off Decade may have been recorded at the Troy Store, but I wasn't able to find anything to determine that was the.
I don't have any. I have nothing to say that that's true because to my knowledge, all the recording for Decade of Aggression is either everything that's not the Clash of the Titans show is Clash of the Titans, and that's a few different shows on that tour. But all the rest of it, I thought was European.
You're probably right. There's so much misinformation that gets posted online. People speculate, and then it becomes like sort of pseudo fact, and it gets reinforced because people say, "Well, I read," and then someone goes, "Well, maybe that's true." So you just never tell. It's the internet. This was not Slayer's first time playing in Troy. They played in Troy in.
It was not, but I saw the first time, but there was no Lombardo, so it wasn't that good.
87 opening for Wasp, I think
87, Wasp, Raven, Slayer, and Wasp, and I never saw a band get spit on more than Raven. I felt so bad for those guys. Holy shit. The fucking Slayer fans at that show, those were fucking Slayer fans. I mean, Wasp was lucky that they were headlining because that was like all the stories that you heard about Slayer pits and shit. Like that was the show where that all came to light. Like, and the arena was curtained off at half capacity. And I still stood on the outskirts because I'm like, I will get fucking killed in there. Because I was there for Wasp, but I was there to see Slayer too. But I was pissed that I'm like, I'm not going to see the super fast drummer guy. He's not there.
Why was Dave not in the band at the time? Was
Dave quit. Dave quit once in the mid 80s. Well, after Rain and Blood was recorded. He quit very briefly. He actually told me he quit and cut his hair off and he got a job working for like security, like a Kmart or something. That's why when he comes back at South of Heaven, his hair is like really like kind of short. But he left for like a 6-month period of time between Rain and Blood and South of Heaven. So they got TJ Scaglione from Whiplash.
There is apparently a
Fast forward to Dave coming back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Right. And it's, everybody has their opinion about Rain and Blood and then South of Heaven and the change in speed and whatever. And I love South of Heaven just as not quite as much as I love Rain and Blood. It has its own distinct flavor and vibe. But there is a really apparently very, very, very good bootleg recording of the 87 show, and one song I can't get anybody to give me a copy because apparently it's a tape trading thing. You have to trade. I was hoping to use some of it for the show, but anyway, there's one track. You probably have it. You're smiling. I'm assuming maybe you have a copy.
I didn't even know that this existed, so this might be something even I don't know. So
yeah. There's the whole show, and there's one track, and actually I'll send you the YouTube link. Someone put one song. Is it Postmortem? I'm trying to remember what it is. It's on YouTube. The audio is incredible, but then there's a bunch of banter afterwards. Somebody sets off like an M80 in the crowd, and
back when concerts were cool.
Hold on 1 second here. Can I ask you one big favor? Can I ask you one big favor, please? If you can keep the fireworks outside, please. We don't need anybody here to get hurt, and I don't want to fucking get hurt myself. I don't need no fucking cherry bomb blowing my motherfucking eye out, alright? It's cool, but keep the shit outside. So we can get to the music in here, alright? You want us back, don't you? You want to keep this motherfucking place open, don't you? Well then keep the shit outside. That's just one small favor I'm going to ask from you tonight, right?
Really, really good. Much better than the 91 camcorder audio.
Right. Right.
But yeah, listen, we've been on for an hour. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'm super appreciative.
Wait a minute. There's the one show we're not leaving out before this ends. Can't leave it out for the brothers, just for the brothers alone.
Which show are you talking about?
Oh, come on. One more year later.
92?
Skid Row Pantera?
Oh, that's the one that's on the list that I've been that I tacked on there. I was like, I'm gonna get to this one eventually. But
when you get back to that one, call me back because I have some awesome pictures that I took of fucking Pantera that night because I was writing a column for Rock and Read magazine. I had photo pass for the first three songs. I showed Vinny when we toured together. He's like, dude, that's a fucking great shot. Who took that? I go, me. He goes, how? I had a photo pass that fucking tour.